Hello and welcome back to Kim's Cozy Corner. I'm Kim and we just harvested a ton of garlic. Well, what I call a ton of garlic. This whole bed was filled with garlic and we just harvested all the garlic. And now we are going to prepare this bed for something else. And so as I was thinking about this bed and what we could put here, as I think about the weather and the sun and the path of the sun at this time of the year, and it's June 18th, so we're getting ready to get into some of our pretty warmer months. And as we think about that and the amount of shade that this area gets, I had to think about what I could put in this space that was going to grow well with more shade than what you would typically need. And so I thought about a couple of different things that I could put in this space. The first thing that I'm going to put in this space will be some spinach. Spinach does not like hot weather. It will bolt on you, especially if that hot sun is beaming down on you. So I'm going to plant two types of spinach. One of them is called a Bloomsdale Longstanding, and the other one is Baby's Leaf Hybrid. And the Baby's Leaf Hybrid can be harvested in about 30 days. If you want it for like salads, smaller baby leaves, or if you want it larger, in about 40 days. So this will get us just on the front end of our 90+ degree days. We usually have anywhere from about 3 weeks where the temperatures get really warm in late July, early August. So that'll be the one type. The other spinach, this Bloomsdale Longstanding, is mild and tender, and it's ready in about 48 days. And again, these do not like that super hot sun beating down on them. So it'll get sun about, I think about 11 o'clock or something like that in the morning. And then it will be shaded out in the late afternoon when that hot sun beats down on my garden, which is coming from that side over there. All of the plants that love that heat, I try to put them on that end of the garden, and they usually do really well. Well, this one, the spinach doesn't love that heat, so this is a perfect spot for it. In addition to the spinach, I'm going to attempt to grow some radishes. Now, I know it's getting really warm and radish does not like the heat either, but I'm thinking back here in this shaded area, and then just behind me here, I have tomatoes. So these tomatoes are going to grow tall. These are indeterminate tomatoes, so they're going to grow tall and give me a little wall right here as well. That's going to protect it from that evening sun. So I am going to attempt to grow some radishes over here. And if they don't grow, it's okay because I had no real plans for this bed. So we are going to grow, and so I'll just put a picture up here, early scarlet globe radish, which is ready in 22 days. Purple plum radish, which is ready in 28 days, and there's the picture. White icicle radish, which is ready anywhere 28 to 35 days. And then my old faithful French breakfast, which is ready in 23 days. So if you notice here, everything that I'm planting is ready in roughly 30 days or less for the most part. I'm getting them in and getting them out before that crazy summer heat comes down on us. So the first thing I need to do first, though, is prepare this bed. For whatever reason, I think somebody told me this is chickweed or something like that. It has very shallow roots. We need to get that out. Now, I'm not going to turn this bed in the true sense of turning the bed. I don't do that anymore. I did years ago, and honestly, my harvests weren't that great. So all I do is definitely get the weeds off the top. I'm going to add some compost. First, I got to get all the... I'm still finding some garlic over here. But I'm going to get all the garlic out first. Let's start there. And then the top couple of inches of soil, I'm not even really going to turn the soil. I'm going to add some compost and some fertilizer. I'm not even going to pull up my drip irrigation. I'm going to leave it right where it is, and I will plant around that. Now I'm thinking I'll put the spinach in the back. I don't want the spinach to block the sun from the radishes. I mean, they do need sun, they just don't need a whole bunch. Now, when it comes to radishes, this is the one place in my family that I like radishes and my family doesn't. I love fresh radishes in my salads. And I love to pickle radishes to add to my salads in the winter. But my daughters, they don't even like the smell of radish. So this is one of those times where I'm planting for me, not for the family. I got all the sweet gum out now. I have all of the trees out as well. And so next we are going to do some fertilizing. So let's talk about the fertilizer now. I have the bed all cleaned out. So when it comes to the fertilizer, now I usually get whatever granular fertilizer I can find. And whatever's on sale, you know, a decent quality, right? But at least once a year, I go to M.I. Gardener when he has it in stock anyway, and buy, this is Trifecta Plus from M.I. Gardener. It's his own blend of fertilizer that he worked on for many, many years. And I buy at least one bag of that so I can, if you want to call it top dress, my garden about mid-season. I usually don't do it first thing in the year when I'm setting my beds up because I need so much fertilizer. And this is not cheap, right? It's not what you're going to find in your local stores, your big box stores. It's not cheap. So I usually use it for a top dressing. But I am all out of granular fertilizer. So I am going to have to get into my Trifecta Plus. Trifecta Plus is a 5, 10, 4 from NP and K. So it's 5, 10, and 4. And on here, he tells you how much to use for your different applications. And, you know, whether you do it once a year or twice a year, all of that information is on his bag. And I tell you what, I like it. It does really well in my garden. I just can't afford to put a lot of it down. So we're going to have to put the Trifecta Plus in this bed here. And I'm going to just take a couple handfuls and put it in the front here where the radishes are going to be, because they will be pretty much planted in all of this space up here. And in the back, I really don't have to put it in the whole bed in the back because there's just going to be, I believe, 4 plants. Excuse me, 2 rows with roughly 4 in each row. That's my goal anyway. We'll see. Just work this in just a little bit. All right, and then the other thing that we're going to add is my Land and Sea Gourmet Compost. And it's something new for me. I've just purchased a few bags of it. I think it's kind of expensive. It's not something I can get locally where I live. So I ordered 3 bags just to see how it was going to do before I spend a ton of money on something like this. But it has lobster and crab meal in it. So hopefully it'll do well in my garden. Now for this, I'm just going to sprinkle some on top. This bed is actually really full already. It's not like it needs any additional compost, but I'm going to add it anyway so we can continue to improve the overall health of this bed. And a lot of people keep asking me about my little Willy toy that I roll around the garden in. I have no idea where it came from. My neighbor gave it to me back when I used to do foster care, and I used to have 5 or 6 kids under 5 running around my yard at all times. And I've asked my neighbor, where did he originally purchase this toy? He said he has no idea. He's had it for more than 10 to 15 years, and he has no clue where it came from. But it's a toddler's toy, and it says step 2. So it must have something to do with teaching your toddler how to walk or something of that nature. But I have no idea where it came from. There's no name on it, and I've checked all over it for a name. I don't see a name, but it says step 2 on it. So if you're interested in one, that's the most information I can give you at this time on it. This bed is ready. So let's start with the spinach. So we're going to put the Bloomsdale in the back, and I'm going to plant it kind of like in a row. And I'm going to put 2 seeds, and then I'm going to space out, I don't know, what is that, about 4 or 5 inches? And I hope this is actually Bloomsdale. I had a whole bunch of seeds that spilled out of one of my seed packs, and I assumed it came from this seed pack. I don't know if it really did or didn't, but I'm going with it. You want to plant your spinach about a 1/2 inch deep is what the pack says. Just follow the directions on the package. That's the Bloomsdale. And now we're going to put in the baby leaf. Doing 2 rows of that. Okay, now we will work on the radishes. I've already talked about the different radishes. I'm going to try to do a couple of rows of each is kind of my goal. Let's see how we do. So for the radishes, I'm going to put the white icicle in the back. And I just needed some kind of stick or something to punch my little holes in there. Let's see, how deep do we sow them? 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch. So not deep at all. I'm going to put only 1 per hole just because radishes usually germinate very well. So we'll just put 1 per area. If it doesn't germinate, it's okay. I have tons and tons and tons more. And they grow so quickly, I could easily, I put like 5 in that one. If it doesn't germinate, I can always replace it in the amount of time that it would take for it to grow. Now we're going to do their early scarlet globe. I'm having a very hard time dropping 1. So they are going to be very close. And we're going to do French breakfast at the very front. Now, I need to cover all of these up, and in my mind, the easiest way to do that is just to add more compost to the top. And that's what I'm going to do. That way, I don't have to cover it up. The compost will do it for me. All right. So this space is finished. I have spinach in the back. I have 4 different types of radishes in the front. And now let's move over to another bed where I've harvested some vegetables, and we need to find something new to take its space. In this space here, I had Napa cabbage, and I've harvested 4 heads, and I have this open space here of about 3 spaces, 3 1 by 1 foot squares that I want to replace with something else. Now, I've already prepared the space. I've added some compost. I've added some fertilizer. I've kind of got the beginnings of holes for 3 plants, and I know exactly what we should transfer into this space. Let me show you. This is the west side of my house, and along the side of my house here, I have different types of winter squash as well as some melon growing in this space. And in here, I just dumped a ton of seeds, and they all decided to come up in this container. In this container, I have 8 different cantaloupe in this container here. Now, there should be 1 plant in this container based on the size of it. Now, I don't have homes for 8 cantaloupe, but I have home for 3. So we are going to remove 3 of these and I'm going to try to take a ton of soil with me. Cantaloupe doesn't transplant very well, so I am going to go as deep as I can so I can grab as many of those roots as I can. You know, actually, let me take 4. I will take 4 just in case. There we go. Now I have 4. That leaves 4 in this container. And 4 is still way too many, but I don't have anywhere else to put it. So I'm leaving 4 and I'm taking 4. So let's go back around to the other side of the house and transplant these. So I have my 4 cantaloupe over here, and I am going to bury them roughly to the depth that they were buried before. Now, this is not a spot for cantaloupe. Let me be honest with you, it's not. Once they start trailing, I have to find somewhere or some way to manage them. Now, I have another trellis that I could put in this space and have it trellis up, or I may let it trail behind the beds here next to the garage, but we will just have to see. First, we need to make sure that it's healthy and that it wants to survive. The plants look healthy in their current state, but we got to make sure that they take root in the new space. And I've never put cantaloupe in this bed here, ever. I didn't want to trellis in a way that it shades out the beds behind me. It's not something I've even ever considered until this year, so we will see what happens. I'm always trying something new. And I normally don't have great luck with melons, so we'll see what happens. But my goal is to trail it this way and back, or either I'll grab one of my trellises and we will go up. And I still need to harvest the rest of this Napa cabbage, but by the time these start vining, these should be out and it'll definitely open up some space that way. But I need the vines to go this way. Well, they're in there. Let's see how it does. Well, that's all I had for these 2 projects where I am putting in a second crop into areas that have been harvested. If you're really into this gardening thing, you can get 2 and 3 different crops in your season. In a season like mine that's not really that long, I can plant my cool weather crops, I can replace it with summer crops, and then come back in again with cool weather crops again. You just have to manage it appropriately. But if there is an empty space in my garden, I promise you I'm going to find something to put in it. Well, thanks for joining me again for another video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to show you everything that I'm doing this year. And until next time, bye.